Hello, welcome to Fenway Faithful, and I have quite the guest today. A very special guest. We have Mikey Romero, Red Sox prospect. How you doing, my friend?
Good. Just enjoying the off season and getting ready for 2025.
Yeah, man. Well, how's the weekend going? What's it like? Off season. Like what's your day to day like in the off season, especially like the
Yeah.
weekends and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty mellow.
Yeah.
I work out 5 days a week, so like the weekends, I'm usually just kind of chilling.
Hmm.
Just really making sure I'm like getting good food in.
Yeah.
Um, and then a lot of video games. Hang out with my wife,
Yeah.
and like that's kind of just what it's been. We actually live like on the beach, so we're
Oh,
at the
cool.
beach a lot too.
Oh, cool beans. Cool beans. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I used to live. I live in Florida. Red Sox
Okay.
fans. I don't know if actually people know that, but yeah, I used to live right near the beach. It was quite wonderful. My pale self really appreciated the sun, so it was good.
Yeah.
Let's go back in time a little bit, man. I always find it so intriguing, guys coming out of high school, right, going into pro ball. My doofus self was working at a grocery store. Coming out of high school, I can't even imagine what it's like going into pro ball. Kind of dive into that. What was that whole experience like? I'm sure it was a whirlwind.
Yeah. I mean, just basically from the week before draft day to like basically where I'm at, like it's honestly still just been so crazy. Like just to know that I'm playing professional baseball, I'm
Mhm.
20 years old.
Yeah.
Like I think just like right before the draft, hearing all the buzz, hearing, the possibilities, like it was pretty cool. And just to like be like I had buddies that were, in years before and years prior that were in it, and it was pretty cool that it was kind of my turn, and
Yeah.
just to kind of see the teams that were interested was pretty cool. And then
Yeah.
ultimately getting picked up by the Sox, not only just picked up but like in the first round, like that was awesome, and that was a dream that I've always had.
Mhm.
And then just like getting into pro ball, like luckily like I've spent like a lot of time kind of already away from just my family because from California.
Yeah.
So like my parents couldn't really come to a whole lot of stuff that was like the USA stuff, or
Yeah.
like stuff that's generally on the East Coast.
Mhm.
So like it was kind of like I felt comfortable. I didn't feel really too homesick. Right when I got into pro ball, but like it was definitely an adjustment just, being on my own completely, like just, waking myself up in the morning, making my own food, doing my own laundry, like stuff like that. Like it was like it was a change in that way. But once I got to the ball field, it felt like the same game.
Yeah, yeah, totally. What was that? What was the experience like? Going back to interviews with the Red Sox. Any cool stories, like any fly on the wall kind of stuff. I'm always so intrigued when it comes to that whole process.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple things that I
Yeah.
probably just can't really say, but like it's a good it's a pretty cool process. Like at the draft combine, like I talked to all the guys, and obviously it's kind of a different scouting department now than it was, but like at that time Paul DeBoni was the scouting director.
Mm,
And then Devin, and I'm blanking on his last name right now, but
mm,
Devin Pearson, I think. Yeah, Devin Pearson was the assistant scout director, and
yeah.
it was great getting to know those guys. And like I just had a great relationship with them.
Mm,
The year prior, my buddy Marcelo, that we also have, like we have the same agent.
yeah.
So like there was already a really good connection there, and I just really hit it off with them. Like it was a lot of good conversation. Like I felt like I was comfortable with them, and I'm kind of just at that point it was like, okay, like these guys, they might take me. Like that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. When you first, got signed and everything, had like the picture day and everything at Fenway. Did you meet any players that day, or even throughout the process? Was it like a starstruck moment if you ever did, or was it just like, oh hey, you're a ball player too? What's up?
Yeah. Actually, when we signed, I didn't meet anyone at Fenway. The game that I actually went to, this was kind of brutal, but the game I went to was when we like lost to the Blue Jays, like 21 to like 0 or something.
No, not the Duran moment game. Ah,
No, we
no,
can't. No, we can't
don't
call
bring
it
that up
that.
to him.
No, that's my boy. He rakes. But Like, yeah, that was the game I actually went to. That was the game we all went to. That was our game we went to. And
Mhm.
it was pretty crazy. But like we didn't meet anybody that that played for us. And then come spring training, that's when we, we saw all the guys and
Mhm.
um yeah, met Duran, met Story, like met Devers, in
Yeah.
the kind of little, language kind of barrier that we have. And
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, you meet a lot of big leaguers, and it's pretty cool just to see how they go about their business. And yeah,
Yeah. Well, like, would you say when you meet these guys, you're coming out of high school, is there a starstruck thing to it? Like, you're like, dang, that's Rafi
yeah.
Devers.
I mean, like for me, I feel like it was Story. Like when I was rehabbing my injury, and Story was also rehabbing his UCL.
Mhm.
I was like, we were basically working out together every day. Like
Yeah.
we take ground balls, we hit together, and I was like, it was pretty cool because we got to a point to where like we were kind of joking around with each other, giving each other a hard time, and
Yeah.
he pushed me to work harder, and he pushed me to be a better player. And like so I'd say definitely Story. Like it was just I had seen him on the Rockies, like I had seen the videos, I'd seen just the way he played, and I was like, damn, like I'm working out and training with Trevor Story right now. It's pretty sick.
Yeah. I think what a lot of people, we all love the game and everything, but I think there's also the side where, they're human beings at the same time. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, they're in the video games and you see them on TV, but they're just people at the end of the day. So, it's pretty cool. Before we get to like career stuff,
Mhm.
any favorite players, growing up that you tried to, resemble and whatnot, try to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely was a big Corey Seager fan.
Yeah.
Just left-handed shortstop.
Mhm.
Just I really like his game. And then Daniel Murphy,
Oh,
left-handed hitting second base, kind of shortstop, first base a little bit. But
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed like just both watching both of them kind of play and hit specifically.
Any any Red Sox shortstops? Were you do you like Nomar growing up or anything like that?
Yeah, Nomar was, obviously, one of the best to do it. And then,
Yeah,
I think an obvious answer here is Pedroia. Like that guy is
yeah,
just gritty, and that's kind of, what I like to model my game after is just grittiness, kind of get after it, and that's like kind of the guy.
yeah. Well, speaking of players, actually, off the cusp here, I got to ask. The Red Sox, they did just make a big trade recently, bringing in Garin
Yeah.
Crochet and some guys that you played with. Kyle Teal, Wickham Gonzalez, Chase Madroth. What were your thoughts? Getting to know these guys and being in a big trade like that. What were your overall thoughts on that trade?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy just because like Teal,
Yeah,
Mydroth, Wiki, like you were getting to know Montgomery, like you had met him, and
yeah,
it's just crazy how fast and how just basically how fast stuff like that can happen.
yeah,
It's like one day you're on the Red Sox and one day you're on the White Sox, but
yeah,
I mean, just the fact that those guys put themselves in that position, to be able to be in a Crochet trade, like that
yeah,
speaks volumes. Like those guys are going into that organization, and they're going to be impact players. And
yeah,
thankfully we got one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, and
yeah,
we know that he's going to be an impact player.
yeah,
And I think that's just the business side of the game. It kind of is one of those things where it's like it is what it is. You play wherever you're told to play, and you just get after it. That's kind of what it is.
for sure. And I would imagine, one day when you get up there and Crochet is still with the Red Sox, hopefully, at least you now know you won't have to go up against him at some point.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't even imagine going up against that, being a lefty.
Yeah.
It's like
No, him and
kind of
Sale, like him and Sale, like those are
yeah,
some
for
yeah, that.
ridiculous. I go back to who was it, John Kruk against Randy Johnson. What was it, All-Star game or something like that? It was he was just
Yeah.
flailing up there,
Those are
just
some those be some
crazy.
brutal at bats.
But now let's kind of backtrack a little bit here. 2023, obviously you had a lot of stuff going on. You
Yeah.
had the back issues, had some stuff off the field, as well. You were dealing with, you had some, really good bright spots as well. I was reading about how you got into going to church and you got baptized and everything, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Love that. Um, Kind of looking back on it now after we'll get to 2024 here in a second, but reflecting even more, kind of what are your thoughts looking back on 2023?
Yeah. I mean, really like I think it's just like the best way you can put it is like a blessing in disguise.
Mhm.
Like I learned so much in 2023, like just kind of what I needed to do to take care of my body, kind of
Yeah.
just basically like who I am, like who I
Yeah.
am as a
Yeah.
person. Basically, I learned kind of what I was made of and what I can handle, and that whatever life throws my way, that I can handle it.
Yeah.
And like, I think just the injury side of it was obviously rough. My first year, I was the first rounder. I wanted to be that guy.
Yeah.
But like was hurt, and I just, I wasn't. And so, it was humbling. It was, almost like kind of just pedestal kind of kicked from under you. You're like, oh, I'm gonna be this guy, and it's like, oh, like you're not the guy right now. You can be because you're hurt.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, I think, the Lord, he flipped it around for me. He
Yeah.
turned something bad and put it into something good. I got baptized. I grew in my relationships with the Lord, in my relationship with all my buddies in the Red
Mhm.
Sox organization. And, ultimately, like, that rehab was, like, honestly a great time
Mhm.
because, I had guys around me that were also trying to get better, but also, just good dudes that you can cut it up with, outside of the field. And like I said, Trevor's story was there too, and it was pretty awesome, just that I got that experience and that I got to work with someone of that status. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it was a great thing. And off the field stuff, I don't know if a lot of Red Sox fans are aware. My pops, he had cancer at that time, recently passed in February this year. So like, it was obviously brutal. It was, tough for my family.
Yeah.
Kind of all at once, but you know, like, it's just kind of one of those things that, everyone has to go through at some point. And, I went through it a little sooner, and you know, got through it. The Lord got me through it, my family got me through it, my wife got me through it. So it's just, it is what it is. And, we look, we move forward, and just obviously, honor those that were before us.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm very sorry about your father.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
lost my mom a couple years ago. I totally get that. It's tough, man. But the fact that you persevere, he's looking down, man, and you know, and good things are going to happen.
Yeah,
And getting
I
back
appreciate
to
it.
the back injury, I think, like you said, blessing in disguise, like you were kind of just mentioning a little bit ago, where things were going so fast, and I feel like that probably just slowed things down for you. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like it slowed me down because, like, it had to. I'm a kind of guy that's like, all right, like, let's get it. Like, I want to
Yeah,
play. Like,
yeah,
I'll play through this injury. Like, let's go. Like, I want to play. And like, that's just not what it could be. And it definitely slowed me down, to say the least. And
in a
looking
good
back
way.
on it,
Yeah.
yeah, in a good way. I was
Mhm.
able to really just focus on my body and the daily routine, the daily kind of just get after it that people
Yeah.
talk about in professional baseball. Like, it's the little stuff. It's not the whole go out and hit BP and take 20 or 5 buckets of ground balls.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, it's the little stuff that you do in the weight room. It's the little stuff, how you prepare for your day. It's the little stuff that you do with the trainers
Mhm.
before you go out. It's the little stuff that you do the night before when you wake up, or when you go to sleep, to try and get all your sleep. So just stuff like that.
Yeah, and for sure, and hey, it really paid off this past year. You spent time between High A Salem and Double A Portland. You had 271, 821 on the OPS, 16 bombs as well. So yeah, a lot of success this past year. Looking back on this past season, what would you say? I'm sure there's multiple factors, but would you say there's any big factor that really came into play for this year to lead to that success?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest one is, obviously just health. I got
Yeah,
at bats finally, and I kind of just showed what I could do with at bats, and I still didn't even really get a lot of at bats. Like,
yeah,
so it's just
yeah,
kind of one of those things where it's like, I just need to keep stacking days and keep stacking at bats, and I think it's just hopefully continually progress. Obviously baseball is a really hard game, and
hmm
um, you do what you can in your preparation, and you do what you can to succeed. But this game will humble you, and
yeah,
yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that, yeah, I mean, it was a good year. It was a good year.
yeah.
A lot of preparation based stuff.
For the I want to ask a question, especially for the younger ball players that watch my channel, that actually give me the time, and which I love. But any advice for those guys coming up, where were there any mechanical adjustments you had to make with anything this year? Was there anything coaching wise that really you took to this year, whether that was in the cage or even just in the weight room, or any little things that you
Yeah.
could maybe touch on there?
I mean, the biggest thing I would say to like younger players, one is like get in the weight room. Like it's super important to be strong and physical. Like it's it's very important. Like there's not a lot of guys in the big leagues that are small. A lot of these guys are huge.
Mhm.
And especially if like a guy like myself, I want to be in the big leagues. When I'm 21, 22, like there's gonna be guys that are obviously way older than me. So and more mature. So I have to be strong and I have to be ready to meet the demands of a full professional season. And then I think another thing, just kind of on the baseball side, is like one thing I wish I did more in specifically high school was hit off the machine more, like at
Mm.
high velos. Just that's all we see now. You don't you see a guy that's throwing 95, and you're like, oh, like okay, bet we're facing a guy throwing 95.
Mhm.
That was like how it was when I was in high school facing a guy throwing 80. Like,
Yeah.
and then when it's like a guy's throwing 97 to 100, it's like all right, like let's gear up. Like this guy's chucking. So like training and making your training uncomfortable so that when you get in the game it's comfortable. That's kind of the big piece of advice I would give.
Yeah, for sure. I love that part. The make yourself uncomfortable, and that's like with anything in life. You wanna
Yeah.
you wanna get better at something. You got to go through some hard stuff. So I like that. With going into 2025, um, you could also look back here on this past year, despite having a lot of success. Are there any things that you're still looking to improve on moving into this coming year? Was there anything, whether that was with the swing or maybe certain situations in games, anything defensively,
Yeah.
off the field? What are you looking to improve going into 2025?
I think like on the defensive side, just
Mhm.
expanding my range, and then just converting at a near perfect rate. I want to get outs, and I want to be that guy that, when I'm in Boston, someone who's pitching he wants that ball hit to me. Like
Yeah.
I want to be able to, convert everything. And then on the offensive side, I consider myself a very aggressive hitter.
Mhm.
Sometimes a little too much to where I can get myself out swinging at bad pitches. So I think just being a little more selective in this coming year, and not necessarily taming myself, but just really making sure I'm sticking to a plan, especially in hitters counts, and taking my walks whenever they're given to me.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the defense. Because the way front offices think now, right? They love run prevention as well. Like we love looking at the sexy numbers, right? The stat
Yeah.
line, the bombs. Even WRC plus for all the advanced nerds out there. But the defense, it's so important, man. Like that's why you still, obviously Nolan Arenado, who obviously is a great player. You did see a lot of regression with the bat. I'm sure he's going to get it going again this coming year.
Yeah.
But the defense is so good with him, and he's still such a valuable player, right? Even if the bat is maybe having a bit of a tough time, he's still going to give you tons of production with a glove, man. So
Yeah.
the defense, it's so important, so important. So what are your goals for 2025? What do you any big goals for you this coming year? Starting shortstop for the Red Sox, maybe? What do you think?
I mean, that's always in the back of my mind for sure,
Yeah.
like, but, like just kind of where my feet are right now, finish the offseason strong, get in 2025 healthy, have a normal spring training. This will be my first spring training where I can actually do stuff. Like,
Yeah.
so just getting my at bats in spring training, getting my reps. And then, just when I start, uh, just playing hard and trying to get up to Worcester and then get up to Boston and make an impact, help the team win.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes making an impact too. That's not hitting a home run, or that's not getting that big hit like Mickey Gasper. Like that guy had some pretty sick at bats up in the big leagues,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
were walks. Like they ended up in walks, and
Hmm.
like we have guys like Devers, we have guys like Duran. Someone's got to be that guy that gives a good quality at bat and gets on base for those guys. And that's kind of just my goals in 2025 are, stay healthy, obviously have a good year, move up, and just hopefully be knocking on the door to
Yeah.
the big league.
I love that you brought up Mickey Gasper because that's kind of a guy where he's not jumping off like yes he's done a lot of solid things, but he doesn't pop off a lot like when you're looking at the mainstream prospect lists.
Mhm.
Any other players that maybe you've seen during your time double A single A, any other players that you feel like could, if you can think of anyone off the top of your head, anyone that you feel like people should pay attention to as well?
Yeah, I mean, my boy Brooks Brandon, like I wouldn't say he's necessarily an underrated prospect,
Mm-hmm.
but like he definitely doesn't get, I feel like, the love he deserves. I mean, he's probably one of the biggest youths I've ever seen. The ball just sounds different off his bat.
Mm-hmm.
So a guy like him, and then Hayden Mullins, left-handed pitcher. You know, like he, shoved. I feel like he shoves every time he pitches. Like he just gets outs, whether that's ground balls, pop flies, strikeouts. Like he just gets outs and he competes and he's in the zone and
Yeah.
I like playing behind him.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the list goes on. Caleb Bolden, right-hander.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Portland. He started in Greenville, then went to Portland. He, like like everything that he throws just moves. Like there's
Yeah.
not anything that's flat really. And if
Mm-hmm.
it's flat, I'm pretty sure it's like 95, 97. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
um, we have so many guys. I
There
feel like
are.
our farm system is so stacked. Like
It's so
I honestly think we're the best farm in professional baseball. Like
yeah.
it's just very, I feel like we're very stacked and we compete, at just about every level. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and a big guy for that, was Chaim Bloom, right? He was there for the last few years, and he really helped put that farm system back together. That leads me to my next question. With now the boss, the president of baseball operations, Craig Breslow, he's coming to the fold. You know, have you what's that dynamic like? What have you have you and him had conversations at all about just development and anything?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit.
Mhm.
He actually came to one of our games this year in Aberdeen when I was in Greenville. He came to the big guys were playing up in Baltimore, and he came down to Aberdeen, not too far of a drive, and watched us play. And
Mhm.
it was pretty cool just to see that that he was there. Like he was there at our game. It was a high A baseball game. He was going to be at a big league game tonight, and he's the one that ultimately makes big decisions. Like
Yeah.
so it was pretty cool to see that he was there. Talked to him a little bit in spring training. And you could just tell he's a baseball dude. Obviously he played, and that's the best when you have someone who has that type of kind of experience in the game, and so like yeah, he's a good dude, and it's cool to be playing for a guy like him.
I was gonna ask about that because obviously, he was a part of a lot of Red Sox success over the past. Is there like a bit of a different dynamic when you're talking with, say, Craig compared to, well, even if you didn't play, it doesn't mean you don't get a lot of respect in the organization. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that, but is
yeah.
there just a different dynamic when you are talking to a guy in a position like that who had as much success as he did? Like, certain lingo that you get when you talk, is there just a different feel to it?
Yeah, no, I mean it's like it's just kind of I feel like it's pretty professional whether you've played or not. Like you just
Mhm.
keep it professional. You have good conversation. You're able to crack a joke every once in a while, and that's with everyone. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of just how professional baseball is. And then when it's time to get serious, you kind of will get serious. But um, like you said, like everyone deserves respect, within the coaching staff and the front office.
Mhm.
Like there's so many guys I feel like on our coaching staff that haven't played, but I've learned so much from.
Mhm.
Like we have a lot of drive line guys,
Mhm.
and I don't know if a lot of them have played, but like you learn so many just crazy
Yeah.
metrics that you wouldn't have learned otherwise. And I feel like it's been for the better for our organization.
Yeah.
But specifically between like me and Breslow, like there's no like baseball lingo. It's pretty like just when we would talk, it's normal conversation.
Yeah. Well, if I were to ask one more question before we wrap things up here, I'm a believer where any company out there, I think the boss man, should listen to the employees, right? Get the feedback,
Mhm.
get some advice, even if it's just employees, even if it's at the lower ranks, right? You should always listen to those guys, right? If you were to give Craig, I don't know if you've been paying attention to Red Sox Twitter land over the last, month or so. They're wanting to go out there and get someone on the free agent market. They're wanting to spend some money a little bit, make some moves. Crochet was good, all right, but I think a lot of Red Sox fans, they're looking for a guy on the free agent market. Because the Red Sox, have been kind of holding back a little bit on spending, waiting for this farm to kind of get a little, some of these guys to get closer to Major League ready. If there's one guy, if you were to put a message out there to Craig right now, say, Craig, you need to go sign this guy, who would it be?
Do you need to sign this? Oh, okay.
If you were to sign one guy free
I
agent, right? If
mean,
you were to open the checkbook, who
yeah.
you
I
who would you
mean,
tell him to bring in?
Corbin Burns would be obviously pretty sick.
Yeah.
So, a guy with that caliber pitcher. But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of like the guy that's kind of the at the top of the
Yeah.
like signage kind of stuff right now, and then there's Bueller. But I will say this, like we do have a farm system right now that is very hungry and that wants
Mm-hmm.
to play at the big league level and that wants to win. So I do respect what our team is doing and taking it slow and
Yes.
not trying to just throw out big contracts just because we can.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's awesome that we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And at that same time, we have guys in our farm system that want to win and that are hungry to win and that are dirt dogs and that have each other's backs and that will have each other's backs for the guys at the big league level too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, like that's kind of, I think the best thing, just
Well, yeah.
I think they're doing it right. They're doing it right.
Oh, I completely agree. John Henry over the years, right? Head honcho. I mean, the guy ever since he took over the Red Sox, they've brought 4 World Series championships. Every time, if you go back to any time they've ever spent big, it's always when that farm system is just right, right? When you got
Mhm.
guys, young club control guys at the major league level that are contributing, but guys behind them as well. I think we're moving in a great direction. But it's not a surprising direction because they've done it
Yeah.
before. It's
Yeah.
like I
I mean,
think a
I
lot
feel
of
like
people
with
need.
our
Yeah.
with our recent trade, like the Crochet trade, like we
Mhm.
just showed, like our front office just showed that we want to win. Like we gave
Yeah.
up some pretty solid prospects. Obviously,
Yeah.
Crochet is a dude, but
Mhm.
like we gave up, some great prospects. And like if we can't, if the Red Sox fans can't see that we want to win, by that trade, it's like, come on, like
Yeah.
that those guys are dogs. Like,
Yeah.
and we just we got Crochet, we have a great farm system, and I'm sure they're not even done making moves,
Well,
so
yeah, the Crochet trade really reminds me of the Josh Beckett trade, right? I think people forget that they brought Josh Beckett in back in 2006, the year before they won the World Series in 2007. They spent money in 2007, right? That's when they went and got, guys like Daisuke, JD Drew, Julio Lugo. That's when they did spend the money. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being another offseason where maybe they wait on that. But the Crochet trade really reminds me of the Beckett trade, where you gave up some big prospects. You gave up Hanley Ramirez at the time, Anibal Sanchez at the time. So it really reminds me of that. Before we wrap things up, I got to ask, since we're talking prospects, obviously the big names in the farm, along with you as well, and some other guys. A lot of eyes are on Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell. What are your thoughts, man? Like, kind of obviously we read the scouting reports, we watch the video, we see Christian Campbell getting minor league player of the year, with Keith Law. Roman Anthony is, I guess, an alien according to a lot of people. What are you thinking, man, with those guys?
yeah. I mean, Roman is a freak. Like I've never met someone and I've never seen someone play baseball just and be as good as he is. Like he is actually the best prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
And that's not like a term. Like I've played like with a lot of guys and I've seen a lot of guys play and I've just, it's crazy. You go watch him play in person, like he's a big leaguer and it's as simple as that. Like he takes a big league approach.
Mm-hmm.
The way the ball comes off his bat is just different.
Yeah.
He handles himself like a big leaguer.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best word is alien. Like he's different. Like it's
Yeah.
just I don't know how he does it, but
Yeah.
he works hard and he was raised by good parents and
Yeah.
he just gets after it and Red Sox fans have something to very just really be excited for in him. And then Christian Campbell, like I played with him. I played with him in Greenville and not in Portland, but in Greenville towards the
Mhm.
end, right until he got moved up. And like him too, like the way the ball just comes off his bat. Like there was some because right when I got to Greenville, they were still having me kind of slowly ramp up. I was playing
Mhm.
3 games a week early on,
Mhm.
and then so I'd have like off days and he'd be playing and right-handed hitter. So like I get the open side view in our dugout in
Mhm.
Greenville, and like just it's so weird because like sometimes like you watch some of the swings he takes and it's like, how does he hit that? Or like how did he hit that? Or what did he just do? Like I promise I was looking at him hit and it went over the fence. Like how did he just hit that?
Yeah.
Like just the raw strength that he has, and then he just like he makes the plays. Like he just makes the plays on defense. So like Roman, you know, Campbell, Cello, like just kind of our big three. Like
Mhm.
that's something that Red Sox fans are going to be super, stoked for, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Marcelo too. I feel like there's a really special player there.
Oh,
He dealt with some injuries this year as well, also a back issue.
yeah,
What are your thoughts on him moving forward? Have you talked with him this offseason? How's he feeling? How's the back? How's his offseason going?
yeah. I mean, as far as the back, I don't want to speak for him. I think I saw something the other day that said he was, going to be 100% for spring training.
Yeah.
I don't know if that. Yeah, so I think like that's, I haven't really talked to him on that end, but he says he feels good. I'm pretty sure. And then,
Yeah.
like I'll text him. I text him for his birthday. We're literally 15 minutes away from each other from where we
Mhm.
live. So, as soon as he like, we kind of will. I know we'll get into ground ball work and some hitting here shortly. Before we both head up there to Fort Myers. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean that's just like that's one of my boys, and
Yeah.
I have a great relationship with him, and we both like to get after it. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what he does this year. Now that his body's right, and you know he's obviously a stud. He's always been a stud. So I'm excited to see kind of what he does this year.
Yeah, you're touching on Roman Anthony, saying like this guy's a freak. Christian Campbell's like how did he hit that? What would you say about Marcelo Meyer if you could give like sort of a little deeper insight with him? Like, what do you
Yeah,
see with him
I
when
feel
you
like
see him on the field?
he's a pros pro. Like
Mhm.
he's just that guy who's gonna play in the big leagues for 10 years, 15 years. Like he's gonna play for a long time in the big leagues. He handles himself like a true professional. And there's not a lot of guys, that I'll say that about. And like he's a pros pro. He handles
Yeah,
himself like a true professional. The way that he prepares for the games, the way that he handles himself during the games. Obviously, he's a big goofball. Like he likes cracking jokes. He likes, hanging out with the boys. But when it's time to go and it's time to lock in, like he's more focused than anyone. He's, bought into winning. He's bought into, helping his teammates. And he's like, I think, the best thing I could say is he's a pros pro.
yeah. You mentioned Corey Seager was a guy you looked up to. He kind of reminds me of that, right? Just a
Mhm.
good lefty swing, he's smooth out there in the field. Right? I really like Marcelo, man. Unfortunately, he had the back thing this year. I think so,
Yeah.
and obviously with the rise of Anthony and Campbell, they got a little bit more eyeballs. But God, you got to keep your eye on that guy, man. He's
Oh,
really
yeah.
good, so good.
No, yeah, you can't. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's funny because like, I'm pretty sure he's still like a top 20 prospect in baseball,
Yeah, I
and
think
we're
he's top
and we're
10.
talking
Yeah,
like yeah, we're talking like he dropped all the way out of the top
yeah,
100 or something. Like he's still a dude, and
yeah,
just because he's had a couple injuries, like stuff happens. Like like it won't be the first, won't be the last. Obviously you don't want him to get hurt, but like
yeah,
at the end of the day, we play a sport for our job, and injuries are bound to happen.
yeah,
And it's no matter who you are. So
yeah.
it's how you bounce back, and I think Celo's done a great job of bouncing back.
It's just crazy, man. Having all these guys and yourself, and like you said, the Red Sox are in a good spot when it comes to the
Oh
fall,
yeah,
man. Guys that are hungry, going after it, and I like that you said that too, because when you watch interviews, you kind of watch stuff on YouTube or whatever it may be. They all seem like that, They all just seem like dudes, They just want to
yeah,
go play some ball and just have fun and just do the best they can, Love that,
yeah.
love that. But
Yeah, for sure.
my friend, I got to thank you for this. You are the first player I've ever interviewed, so I do appreciate that. So
Yeah,
hopefully I
thank
can
you.
keep doing this for a long time, and if I do, I will look back and say Mikey Romero was the first guy I ever interviewed. So I
Awesome.
appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, thank you. I
But yeah,
appreciate it.
man. Well, I'll let you go. Have a good rest of your weekend and enjoy, my friend. Good luck this coming
Yeah,
season. And
thank you.
I appreciate it, my friend. And we'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
See you later. Have a good one.